Hi, I'm Annie Elison. Have you ever thought about buying a vacation rental on Kauai? What are your options? If you've been watching this channel, I have another video on short-term rentals. We have two main categories that are legal short-term rentals on Kauai. We have properties that are in an area that allows for short-term rentals, which we call visitor destination areas or VDAs. And then we have properties that back in 2008, when the laws changed, applied for and received a transient accommodation license, meaning they are licensed vacation rentals. And those can be found technically all over the island, but generally speaking, in places where people want to stay, like Hanalei Bay or Lauai Road on the south side of Kauai. Now there is a third category which isn't talked about very much, called a homestay. The easiest thing to compare a homestay to would be a real bed and breakfast. Not an Airbnb, but a bed and breakfast. And we'll go into the details about why this would be considered closer to a bed and breakfast. Initially, homestays were allowed anywhere on the island of Kauai, and so you can find them in different locations. But that law was amended in 2016. New homestays, if you're applying for a homestay license, it will only be considered if you're within a VDA or a visitor destination area. And the law in 2016 was put together to restrict homestays outside of visitor destination areas. One of the reasons why these areas where vacation rentals were allowed is because the people who live on Kauai didn't want their neighborhood or the house next door to sell and for it to be a vacation rental. Believe it or not everyone likes living next to a vacation rental. There's pluses and minuses. In 2016, they amended the homestay law, and now they will only approve ones in visitor destination areas. Now on top of that, they will only consider 10 new homestay applications a year. If you need vacation rental income to afford a property, this is not the plan for you. To run a homestay, the owner of the property has to use it as their primary residence, and they have to be, as we would say, on island, but they have to be living in the house and in the county of Kauai during any visitor's entire stay. For example, if you wanted to go to France for the summer, you could not rent your house as a homestay during the time that you were off island. You were prohibited from hiring someone to do your duties, and your duties are to be available 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, to help your guests in any way they might need it. Buildings that would be considered for a homestay, they don't have to be built to a commercial code. Residential code satisfies, right? So it can be existing properties. A homestay can only have 3 bedrooms that are rented out. So if it's a 5 or 6 bedroom home, only 3 of those can be used for transient accommodations. A homestay also has to supply at least 1 parking stall on property for each room that it rents out. And if you have a cesspool and you're going to apply for a homestay license, you're going to need to upgrade to a septic tank or to get on a public or private sewer. If you know anything about vacation rental laws on Kauai, or if you've watched my other video about them, which is good for education, you might ask yourself, if this property is located in a VDA, why would I even apply for a homestay license? Properties in the VDAs are much more simple to run. When you buy in a VDA, you're buying a property that has vacation rental rights. You don't have to worry about the number of parking, or if you're on Kauai or not on Kauai, right? So why would you want to get into something that just complicates this more? I can think of 2 reasons. One would be if you actually want to run a bed and breakfast, if that's been like your lifelong dream, or you've got a little Martha Stewart in you and you want to run a bed and breakfast and you think that could be a lot of fun. That could be one reason, right? Another reason could be that in some situations, the homestead, renting each room out individually, depending on the property, the design, and the amenities, a homestay situation could actually make more money than renting the house out in its entirety. A third reason could be because you want to live in the house. Maybe you want to live there and you want to rent out the extra rooms. You don't want to live off property. You want to live in the house itself. You could be doing it for financial reasons, or you could be doing it because it's what you want to do. The challenge becomes most properties within VDAs are in organized communities like Princeville or Poipu Beach Estates or Wainani. And these organized communities are most likely going to not allow a homestay license. They do not want their homes becoming duplexes or multifamily housing, right? So most organized communities are not going to allow for homestay. So when they changed the law to say that homestays could only be in visitor destination areas, now the properties that have the option to obtaining a homestay license are very limited. The place that you would want to target, if that's what you want to do, is the Poipu Kaloa VDA in locations that are under county law and not a homeowners association. Now there are a handful of neighborhoods right around Poipu Beach that fall into this category. And that's where you would want to focus. I mean, it's a phenomenal location anyways, but if this is something you want to do, that's probably the location you want to really look at. Similar to owning a property with a vacation rental license, if you have a homestay license, you have to apply to renew it every year, 30 days before it expires. You have to have a GET and TAT license and pay those taxes in order to keep it in compliance and to be able to renew it each year. You cannot do a homestay on anything that is ag zoned. Now there aren't ag zoned properties in VDAs, so that's a little redundant, but you also can't have a homestay on a property that is zoned O, which means open. Now, open zoning is usually zoning close to a beach, and it means that you can only have 10% lot coverage. So a lot of these beach areas, they don't want them to be super built out. They're generally in a flood zone as well. And so you're limited to how much lot coverage you can have. You could have a property that's in a VDA that's not under the rules of an HOA, but is zoned open. Right? So if it's open zoning, the county will consider it. It has to be residentially zoned. It can be anything from R1 to R20. A lot of people here would like to own a vacation rental because financially, vacation rentals do very well on Kauai. But a classic vacation rental is either in a place like Princeville or Poipu Beach Estates or Kukui'ula, where the rules are super clear, or they're ones with a license. Now, licensed vacation rentals are generally in very desirable areas and very expensive. For example, if you have a vacation rental in Honolulu, in my opinion, you're not selling that for less than $5 million today. If you're watching this video and it's old, that number has probably increased. Real estate on Kauai is expensive. There are people who want to come here and create their own business or their own thing, right? And a homestay would allow you to do that. Now, it is not something that you can guarantee doing, right? The county is only going to consider 10 new homestay licenses a year. So it's not something where you can come here and say, this is what I'm going to do and execute and know it's going to happen. I think you have to get a little lucky to be one of those 10. If you are here and you own a property that falls into these categories, you can get on the list and you can apply every year, and eventually at some point, most likely, you're going to get the homestay license and be able to have the right to run a bed and breakfast out of your primary residence. This is a niche for the right person, and if that person is you, make sure you check out the County of Kauai website. about homestays. Everything I've said today is accurate, but as we know, county laws are subject to change. Once in a while, not very often, properties with homestay licenses do come on the market for sale. They are transferable, meaning when you buy a property with a homestay license, you can inherit that license. But if you do not comply with all the rules and regulations, like it is your primary residence, you're not renting it out when you're not there, you are living here full time, this is where you reside, you know, paying your taxes, etc., all the other rules and regulations I mentioned, plus a few more, like you have to have a fire extinguisher, then you will lose that license at the renewal date, which is different on every property. Just to give you an indication on how rare it is, in the last 10 years, to my recollection, there have been 4 that have sold. So they do not come up very often, but they do come up. And if it's something you're interested in, please reach out to me. I'd love to help you find the right one that will work for you. If you have any questions about homestays, transient vacation rentals, or VDAs, please let me know in the comments below. And as always, please like and subscribe. Aloha.